Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada around the globe. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm a broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage. I'm your host. The goal of Realty Coffee Talk is to create connectivity so you can come and call us if you have any question. Also increase awareness about how real estate business is conducted in the province of Ontario and building consumer trust and confidence in real estate and promote good ethic and business professional practices. I hope that so far you have liked our program and we welcome you to our show tonight, Election Real Estate Promises. As you remember that before election we had two member of parliament, potential candidate for member of parliament came as they represent the Liberal Party platform, and we also talk about Conservative Party, Green Party, NDP. And now Liberal Party has taken back the government and they will be implementing. They have given us quite a few changes they were recommending in their platform. So we're going to talk today. I have my guest, my friend Ken Finch. He's a CPM and FRI and good friend, real estate broker with Royal LePage Signature.
Yes.
Welcome, Ken.
Excellent. Thank you, Tahir, for having me again.
Yeah, good. So today, Ken, we're going to talk about, because the government during the election, affordability was a big issue, and we know that they were promising lots of things happen because affordability was the issue, correct? That was a big issue?
That was huge. Yeah, that was one of the main issues of the real estate, why the real estate market is the way it is right now. It's hard for buyers to get into the market. It's a super seller's market for the past several years. So yeah, they're trying to open up the industry for people to get into the housing sector.
So there was very interesting proposal that we discussed in our seminar. So viewers, a few weeks in the future, when the cabinet takes over the oath and take over their positions, we're going to reach out to them and bring them here to come back and see how they have implemented those promises they put in the platform. And there was a speech from our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and he was a candidate at that time, but now he has given. So I'm going to go through a few of them and get your feedback how they're going to implement that.
Yeah, definitely. There was several promises for the Liberals. And one thing, they were looking for a majority government.
Yeah.
But so with anything they're not able to implement or that they don't focus on, they'll probably just blame it on the minority government and the Conservatives or the NDP not wanting to cooperate with them. But yeah, let's go over the
let's
list.
go to the topic by topic. So first one was a tax-free first home saving account, which is TFSA, and both RRSP. If a person buyer is 40 years or less and up to $40,000, they can use it toward the purchasing of the house. They don't have to pay back their money, even though they withdraw from.
That's right. So that's a big change from how it currently is, where you have to put the money back into your RSP.
The question is always people ask, and we all ask that you are giving so much programs and refunds and all that stuff. That means you're depleting the revenue to run the government. So how they're going to come back with that, we're going to discuss that toward the end after we have done all that. How they're going to come with the revenue to make sure they not only subsidize these programs, but also reach toward a balanced budget. So this is one of the programs. So this is $40,000. It's a great amount. And if
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, it's a big amount, but they'll just want to implement new taxes to recover any losses that they'll have. But it's not that big of a change because you could always take the money from your RSPs.
Because if you were supposed to pay back and now you're not. So the RSP money is not taxes. It's not taxed, you know that.
Yes, yeah.
So that is a benefit. That's a good benefit to
definitely,
the buyers.
definitely,
Okay?
if it happens, definitely.
So we're going to watch that and see how they do that. They really implement this or not. We're going to keep eye on that. Second one is they want to create a first-time home buyer tax credit. They want to increase from 5 to 10,000, which help the closing costs. How do you think about that for the home buyers?
So no, that's would help slightly, but the cost of real estate in the Greater Toronto, Hamilton area, all of Ontario, the prices of real estate have doubled, tripled, quadrupled in the last few years. So it will help slightly, but the price of housing it won't make much of a difference.
Yeah, I was just mentioned that on one of the Lisgar last night. On one deal, I'm going to talk about Lisgar and Mississauga, 39 offers on one property. It was listed, I believe, $1,099,000. It sold over $1.625 million.
Yes, $500,000.
Half a
Over the
million.
asking price.
So
it was listed under market value.
Yeah, that
So
is what I see.
But it still was a high price, or a new record, I'm sure, for that area.
Yeah, it was 2775 square feet, less than 3,000. But the reason is that we encourage our fellow realtors to talk about and list a realistic price. Now he or she can claim that this was sold at 500,000 more than the list price, which is kind of not very real.
Yeah, it's
because
misleading.
It's
definitely
misleading. So that's why there are 38 disappointed buyers. So this happened last night. So let's talk about the other one. As you know, when a first-time home buyers buying a property and they don't have a 20% down, okay? So less than 20% is a conventional mortgage. So anything less than that, you have to go to CMHC to get financing because lender wants to protect their money, and the government of Canada will charge you a fee, which is called CMHC, and they will give you the high ratio mortgage, okay?
Yes, mortgage insurance. Yes.
Mortgage insurance. That means that if you default on payment to the lender, then they will claim money from the government of Canada through this program, and you pay upfront a certain amount of fee. It ranges, you can go to cmhc.com and you can get the information. But the good thing is the Liberal Party has promised they're going to give 25% reduction in the insurance fees. So that turned out to be $6,100. That's a lot of money. That's a good money. That can almost cover your closing cost.
Yes, yeah. So that would be a good one if the parties can agree on that. So they should implement some of these.
These are the good ones that we want to support, right?
Yes, definitely.
These are the good ones. So we were going to suggest something that these are the good things that they are proposing. And ultimately, remember one thing, if the government does not generate revenue, it is coming somehow from us in extra taxes. So majority is paying their taxes for the few. And we have to make sure everybody can afford it. So we're going to talk about that. Now, so if you are talking about, there is a, but this limit of the price purchase is 1 million to 125. They can't go beyond that. So there is a, if you are buying a property that's a million, over a million 125, after that you won't get that benefit. The other thing is they're talking about rent to own. This is very, very interesting. Rent to own facilities available through private sector. It's not through the regular bank or lenders, but this is private sector. So they are saying is they're going to set aside $1 billion to help renters to become the owner. So question that I have for you, what do you think they're thinking about it? Are the property, they are government subsidized housing, the governments are, people are living, they're going to sell it to them? Or they're going to use this money to set up a program with the builders or the buyers to use that rent to own concept and work with the builders or buy from the private sector.
Yeah, they need to get advice and guidance from organizations like the Real Estate Institute of Canada or the Ontario Real Estate Association or the real estate boards and
Canadian Real Estate Association. Yeah.
Yes, the Canadian Real Estate Association, and come up with a plan on how to work with the private sector, because the government can't get into selling real estate. So yeah, they're going to have to figure out a way to work together.
So our advice is to our government elected officers, and we're going to reach out to them through Realty Coffee Talk to come and talk to us, and reach out to Real Estate Institute of Canada. Real Estate Institute of Canada is a professional institute. They're mentor educators, and they're not trade organization. They will teach you, they will help you put together a policy, a procedure, how to implement these programs. So you can go to reic.ca, and people who are like me and Ken, we're both wearing the FRI pins. We are fellow Real Estate Institute of Canada. This is not required by law. You must have a passion and commitment in real estate, and you seek higher professional standards. That's why we are passionate. There are about 475 FRI out of 135,000 realtors in Canada. So there were 297 out of 93,000 in Ontario. We are only 279 FRIs. So
Right.
we recommend that if the government is watching and listening to our program, to reach out to us, me and Ken Finch, or either one of us, then we can connect with you with our talented team and our directors who are running this organization to help you put together a good plan so it will be useful and beneficial to the consumer and public. So this is what the other thing that so rent to own is a very good concept. It gives you opportunity, but it should be funded to the consumers, not through any organization, to avoid any overheads. What do you think? Because let's say government, they will apply to CMHC to get that rent to own process through it, rather than going through the builders, other people.
Yeah, there already are companies that do this, and so everyone needs to look at what's working, what systems are working for a rent to own, and just basically the key is to work with the real estate companies, with maybe developers that can implement this.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it has to get has to be a big benefit to the end user.
The seller is be willing to do that, and also lender is willing to put the money, and the cost of rent, converting from rent to own, has to be prorated in a way is affordable for the rent to owner. So the other thing is building more homes. The federal government has also promised that they're going to build more homes, that they are plan to invest $4 billion is a house acceleration funds for about create 100,000 housing, middle class housing in 4 years. So this we have to see, because I knew the federal government has another program with the same Liberal Party, 10 years program with $10 billion. They were doing some improvement, low cost housing, but they gave, I believe, over $180 million to the Peel region for the subsidized housing renovation improvement. So we're going to be looking at to see how they're going to fund these projects.
Yeah. So one thing that would help with this initiative is to lower the development fees, the development levies, because those costs, the builder, the home builder pays that, but those costs get forwarded on to the buyer. So they really need to speed up the process as well, because it takes too long to build the homes, and there's too much upfront money. The small builder is priced out of the industry. They can't handle it with all of the different types of reports, environmental reports and so on. So they really need, all the environmental reports are fine. They just need to speed up the process and the approval process for the developers.
Yeah, I think the government has to consider of creating a process more digital, online, virtual. People submit, use the technology is already there now. Majority of us real estate professionals are using virtual. Many options has been now virtual. So they need to optimize the zoning application, approval process. Everything has to be optimized. So if speedy process, everybody see it is and done faster. And issue really throughout Canadian Real Estate Association, Ontario Real Estate Association, all the real estate board have been saying, shortage of supply. Supply is the issue.
That's it.
How are we going to focus that? So this $4 billion is funding to accelerate supply, tools to municipalities. That means they're going to help them, like you mentioned about zoning and bylaws, encourage transit-oriented development. That means they want high-density houses.
Yes.
Because they can use, instead of using cars and all that stuff, environmental friendly and high density. That's the focus of most of the cities, isn't it?
That is, and that's condo towers are a good solution for people to get into the housing market, and condos are also a really good option for people looking to downsize, because you've got a house, 2, 3, 4,000 square feet with only 2 people living in it. The empty nesters, the children have moved out, and so a good option are condos for people entering the housing market, and also people at the final stages for housing. And it's a lifestyle choice for many as well. There's less maintenance, less to worry about. So that is one of the main solutions, or high density, high rises.
So basically, we will see how much money each of our city will get. That I think if you are a mayor of your city, you should be watching and seeking funding for your city, right? So we are in Peel region, so Caledon, Mississauga, Bonny-Crombie, and our Brampton mayor will also be looking for money to see how much money they can get, because there's still a lot of development going on, mostly high-rise in downtown Mississauga. So we have now downtown Mississauga.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So now there are $4 billion available. It depends on the federal government how much they will allow it. And also they have also promised $2.4 billion for over 4 years for repair or more affordable housing. So they have a multiple program. So other $2.7 billion for repairing or to build or repair affordable houses. So I am thinking they're talking about subsidized housing, because this is the government money. They're not going to give it to the private sector. Whatever they have, they want to improve that subsidized housing or create more subsidized housing. We need to ask them, can you explain to us what is affordable housing means for them, by the government? They have to explain to us what this really means.
Yeah, they need to just create more partnerships with the builders and work together and implement that, because it's housing is unaffordable in Toronto. It's almost impossible to get anything that's affordable. It's a complete gut job, or tear down. You can't get it for less than $1 million.
But another interesting program, the reason viewers, we are sharing this with you, so when you have a chance to watch our program, or you're watching program, make a note, and you should be talking to your member of parliament, because this is a federal promises from the Liberal Party of Canada, which is our government now. They're going to be taking oath very soon to continue their governance, and these are their promises. We're going to tell you which promises are no good, but these are the promises so far so good, because they're coming money to you. But we have to also ask them question, how they're going to finance these funds out of the budget, or they're borrowing more money. And I heard that they were borrowing $65 million a day, or even more per day.
Oh yeah, no, it's it's getting a bit ridiculous, but it's an important it's important work that has to go through. People need affordable housing. They need these programs to be implemented. So they're going to have to happen.
There is another promise that the Liberal Party leader has made, converting office retail spaces to market-based renting, housing. So the building, they have over 37,000 buildings across Canada, And I'm sure they have an empty or surplus building because of COVID. There is
Definitely.
not still people are doing virtually. Lots of job has permanently gone for virtual. So they want to dispose of retail or office buildings into residential on the market rate, means whatever is available in the market, that's what you pay. It's not subsidized. So that's a good approach. That I think is a good approach. If you already own the asset, you're going to convert it and generate revenue for the government as well as market rate.
Yeah, it'll be very expensive to convert these buildings, to put in the proper plumbing, showers and so on. But no, I like this idea because a lot of these office buildings are already in the transit lines and in the city centers. So I think this is a good idea because if the office space is going to be sitting empty, it would help the situation, the housing crisis that we're in.
So we are discussing today all the election promises made by Liberal Party of Canada, and in their manifesto, and the leader has mentioned these things. So we want to remind our viewers that what we are pointing out to you, that you will be talking to your Liberal candidate who has become your now member of parliament, to ask him or her how they're implementing it. We will be reaching out to them to find out, invite them to come on our Awaz Entertainment and talk to you and explain what the steps they have taken, and we'll be scrutinizing it. We'll be continuing this debate, a small portion during our broadcast, to make sure that this dialogue continues. So before we start, take our short break, we have one more item: multi-generational home renovation tax. If you are building a second unit and you've been able to claim 15% of tax credit up to $50,000 if you're creating a second unit or renovation in the energy efficiency or whatever. But this specifically mention about secondary units. So this is good.
This is excellent. And even there's opportunity to, if you have a garage space, detached garage space, that's a good opportunity to convert into residential. Yeah. Or just a separate building outside of the house. That's popular in the U.S. I've been talking to a real estate investor, and he said that from in California, they're building quite a few, basically one room, heated, cooled buildings, to be used for office space as well. So not to live in, but an extra space because so many people are working from home. So, building units, in your basement or, another unit, another, self-contained unit with, washroom, bedroom, kitchen, I think is a good idea because that will help out as well.
Yes, this is very important to understand that when you see government funding or compensation or reimbursement, make sure the work is done by the license. You have taken the building permit from the city. Remember that there is a zoning bylaw in each city, each region, that permits you create a proper second dwelling that meets the safety and building code requirement, the parking, access getting out in case of emergency, the electricity, and also parking for your tenant. So make sure that you get the permit for it and you get approval, inspection done by the building inspector, safety inspector, fire chief, or his representative. So you have a license, and when you have done a license and you got a permit to build the work done by a person who has a license, lots of people have this workman compensation insurance. Like when somebody get hurt, they can sue the owner. So make sure the contractor has a workman compensation insurance. And then when you apply for it, you make your life very easy. The government funding. This program is not there yet. These are the promises, election real estate promises made by the Liberal Party, who is going to be our governing us for the next 4 years. So we're hoping they will implement these programs, these all so far so good program. We're going to continue to discuss other program. We're going to take a short break. You are watching Realty Coffee Talk. We'll come back to you after our short break, commercial break.
पूरे ऑन्टेरियो में लाखों लोग अपनी कोविड-19 की वैक्सीन हासिल कर चुके हैं। हेल्थ कनाडा की मंजूरशुदा तमाम वैक्सीन महफूज और अस्पतालों, डॉक्टर्स के दफातर, फार्मेसीज और अवामी वैक्सीनेशन के मुकामात पर हासिल हैं। अपना किरदार अदा करें, अपनी वैक्सीन हासिल करें। 300 जुबानों में मदद के लिए ontario.ca/book वैक्सीन पर जाएं या 1-888-999-6488 पर कॉल करें।
पाकिस्तान का सबसे मशहूर एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग ग्रेन मुगल बासमती राइस अवेलेबल इन बोथ व्हाइट एंड सिला। होम डिलीवरी इज अवेलेबल सब्जेक्ट टू मिनिमम ऑर्डर एंड रेडियस। ऑल्सो अवेलेबल एट योर नेबरहुड फ्रेश को। मजीद मालूमात के लिए आज ही कॉन्टैक्ट करें 5146630480 पर या ऑर्डर करें हमारे फेसबुक से। बनाए ये रमजान और भी खास मुगल बासमती के साथ, द प्रीमियम चॉइस फॉर प्रीमियम टेस्ट। 2020 का लाजवाब ऑफर, जहां हम 0% फाइनेंसिंग पर आपकी मनपसंद कार दे रहे हैं, फ्री विंटर टायर्स और साथ ही हम मुफ्त ऑयल चेंज भी दे रहे हैं, वो भी उम्र भर के लिए। अभी आएं और इस लाजवाब ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। जल्दी करें, आपका खुशामदीद हमारे आउटलेट में, जो कि 60 क्वींस प्लेट ड्राइव एट इंटरसेक्शन क्लोज टू हाईवे 27 एंड रेक्सडेल अपोजिट टू वुडबाइन रेस ट्रैक। जल्द से जल्द इस ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। आज ही कॉल करें सुनील अग्रवाल को 647-703-0218। देखिए खेल की आवाज हर पीर शाम 7 बजे। आज की बात समीना जबीन के साथ हर मंगल रात 8 बजे। इस्लाम इन मॉडर्न टाइम हर मंगल और जुमा शाम 6 बजे। कनेडियन मोज़ेक हर बुध रात 8 बजे। रियलिटी कॉफी टॉक हर जुमेरात शाम 7 बजे। टुनाइट टॉक हर जुमा शाम 7 बजे। देखिए तकरार, कीजिए तकरार समीना जबीन के साथ हर रोज रात 9 बजे और रिपीट सुबह 9 बजे। आप देख रहे हैं आवाज एंटरटेनमेंट, आवाज आपकी, चैनल हमारा, जुड़िए हमसे।
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada around the world. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm your host. Today I have my guest, Ken Finch. He's a CPM and FRI like me. We're both members of Real Estate Institute of Canada. Thank you very much for joining. We're talking today liberal promises on real estate during election. They talk about unlocking home ownership. We talked about that. Building more homes. We talk about that. Now we can talk about the protect your rights. What are the rights of the people? People want to own their home, and they have put together something very interesting. And we're going to talk about that. They have promised to put a ban on foreign buying for 2 years. It's a very controversial with real estate professional.
Yeah.
And they're only 2 to 3% of the total housing. Why would they ban it? Is a foreign investment coming to Canada where economy is struggling, and real estate is the only one that generates so much employment. It's almost 30 to 35% of revenue, federal government revenue generated through real estate. So what do you think about this ban, Ken?
So they're, it looks like the government is trying to stop people from doing business with real estate. So, foreign home buyers, they're trying to protect their money and invest in Canada. But, the government is trying to, slow that down a bit because there's so many buyers, Canadian buyers that are having issues. It's driving up the prices. but it's they can't stop business. It's people wanting to flip houses, buy a house and renovate and sell. It's another issue here. You can't attack the real estate investors because, like you said, it's such a huge driving force for the economy.
Yeah.
And it is driving prices up, but it's you can't really attack the real estate investors.
So, as you know, in the province of Ontario, there is already 15% buyer speculation tax already.
Yes, yeah, implemented.
And that was implemented in 2017, right?
Right.
So 4 years later, we are adding now federal maybe 2 years ban, or they're not buying it. So the buying portion of let's say is 3 to 5%, okay, Canada wide, okay, not a very huge percentage, but look at the amount of money they bring into the economy, and all other industries are related: construction, equipment, suppliers, and labor, the engineering, planning, and all that stuff. So everybody's connected. So it's going to have a negative impact. We have to ask our Canadian Real Estate Association to lobby this, because this is going to affect the price. If you put the ban on it, it's still going to have the same consequences. The cost of material has gone up 30-35% of construction cost. Metal is not available. Wood is gone expensive. Labor are. I went for a haircut the other day. She already charged me for $7 more than normal hair, because
everything is going up.
is increasing. So if you make it more expensive, or you ban it, it's going to shrink the more economy.
Yes, and also the foreign investors were a solution to the shortage of rental properties.
Yeah.
Because there was a massive shortage of rental properties. No one was building, apartment buildings, and single condos units. They were getting sold to end users, but the foreign home buyers were buying a lot of condos and renting them out, and that created a supply of rentals. So that solved a problem. So thank goodness that happened, because there was nowhere to rent.
Yeah, the other thing important, like you said, I think there is in the program where they're not restricting rental property by the ownership, from foreign ownership. They are restricting residential one, the one to own, but not the rental one. They're encouraging foreign to buy rental buildings, not the single home, but rental buildings.
Yes.
So we will have to see if this goes through, and how the government will plan to do that. And I'm sure our Canadian Real Estate Association will not be favoring this, because their main debate is supply. We have a high demand and we have a less supply. So the other thing is, again, is related to the foreign as well, non-Canadian. They want to implement a 1% national tax for non-residents, non-Canadian owner of. Now, when they talk about non-residents, please note that if you're a Canadian citizen and you declare on your CRA that you're not residents in Canada, therefore you will fall into this category, non-residents, even though you are a Canadian. So they clarify that. If you go to CRA site and get the definition of non-resident, you will find that out. If you stay more than 6 months, 181 days or something, 103 days, you become non-residents. All those 50% buyer speculation tax will apply to you. And this new tax, if they implement this tax, will also apply. And they're talking about underused housing. They put it in a budget for 2021, including foreign-owned land also. So if you have a land, you're not using it, you're not building anything, there could be a 1% tax. We have to watch for that. It's definitely going to increase the cost of production, construction, right?
Increase the cost of housing, and the end user, the buyers, will end up paying for that. So this is one of the measures they're taking to pay for the to implement the other programs.
But, look like it.
Still, the costs are going to get passed along to the buyers.
Yeah. And they're also thinking about reviewing tax treatment of REIT and other corporation, they're corporation owners. So you are a CPM, so you can enlighten us the what type of investment the big companies are doing who are managing the properties. Because they're going to look into that, and because they're making a lot of investment, I think they carry forward some kind of balances so on the balance sheet. So they're thinking of changing that and changing the taxing system for REIT as well.
Yeah,
So
so
can
that's,
you tell us?
yeah, because there are a lot of tax savings with REITs. You know, the investors get taxed. The REIT doesn't get taxed in some situations. There's several tax advantages investing in a real estate investment trust. So yeah, this will change. You know, these are people's RSPs and you know, retirement savings plans. They're the investments for RSPs. So you know, again, it's just going to go back, and their return is going to be less, the investor's return. So again, that's going to affect the you know, the consumer.
Federal government is also promising to make some legislative changes to Canada Financial Crime Agency for Canada, which is FinTrack. They have improved effective June 1st. They made new changes, so all realtors are getting training FinTrack. If you're a member of a Mississauga Real Estate Board or any board, we have a FinTrack compliance training program offered to member and non-member for $10 for the member and non-member $20. I think the next program on Mississauga Real Estate Board is on October 6th. I have signed up, you can sign up too. This is very important. Just for a disclosure, I am a board director of Mississauga Real Estate Board and chair of Education Committee. So our focus is to make sure we are in compliance all the time, not only REBA and all other legislation. FinTrack is money laundering and terrorist financing act is very, very critical because the source of funding needs to be verified, how the buyer deposits the money, where the funds, source of funds are, what parties are involved. It's a big topic. We're going to talk about that in our next show. And so therefore, there will be more changes and restrict coming for realtors as well as for the consumer. So now because there is a federal government is going to increase more power to the agency. Now they're also thinking about establishing an anti-flipping tax on residential property. And they want them to hold the property for 12 months. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that? How you think about those investors? They're buying the properties, flipping it, making money. They're all doing legally.
Yes, no, it's a business. It's an attack on people in the real estate industry. So, you know, I don't really think that this should be implemented because it's just another attack on business owners.
The purpose behind is a speculation. They want to
because of the shortage of housing. So you know, they don't want people profiting. But you know,
it's a free market, so that's why you have to do that. You can restrict people from buying their properties, but by restricting this will create a little bit slowness, but cost of building new houses has gone up 30-35%. So the significant jump that you have seen now is because of COVID. People are gradually moving into the operation, maybe 50% now, maybe 75% next few months, maybe end of this year. Hopefully it goes full-fledged. I don't think it's going to ever go to full 100% because of shortage of material, because one material needs processing and one item affects the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah. So this is also the other important thing that is we're going to talk about, the topic of the day, is introducing a home buyer's bill of rights to ensure the fair buying process, fair and open and transparent. And they want to ban blind bidding, establish legal right for home inspection, and ensure transparency of the recent housing sale prices. The recent sale prices have gone up and down and significantly increased in prices. Surprisingly, it has surprised every one of us. So what do you think about this? Because I don't think the real estate association, they recommend this to be done.
No, definitely not, because it will definitely affect the sellers, currently you cannot disclose the information of other offers. So what they're doing is they want to be able to disclose the price, all of the other bids, basically. Yeah. So,
it looks like an auction on the street, man. They can come to your house and say, okay, let's auction the house.
Yeah. And I don't know if this will change much because, so if you know the price of the other offers, there might be, 30 people, 5,000 more, and they just keep jumping up, or, whatever, 20,000, 30,000 more. And I don't know if this will make a difference. Really.
I don't think it's going to benefit the seller.
Oh, no, definitely will not benefit the seller.
But this is my advice to you. I'm a fellow Royal Issue of Canada and broker record for City Realty. My advice to a realtor is create your CMA and look at the cost. Talk to people and look at all the most recent pricing. Don't get emotional based on the facts. What is the cost of building a new house now? And then prorate backward if it's 5 years old, or if it's a newly renovated, look at the effective age of the house. And by creating a value of a comparative market analysis, you know what is the limit or what should be a reasonable price for a property. Why would you ask a client or allow a client to put an offer? We can stop them, the buyers, to buy a property. They can sell it. But what will happen if there's a correction in the marketplace? And down the line, if they end up overbidding for $300,000, $400,000 more. Like last night, there was a property sold $500,000 more than the list price. And imagine if the price goes down with all the corrective changes recommended by the government of Canada, then what will happen to that buyer who paid half $500,000 more? Somebody has overpaid their property. Its cost of building a brand new house is less than buying a property like that. Why would you pay their money? So this is why it's very important to attend lots of courses being offered by the brokers. I'm also an instructor with Mississauga Real Estate Board, and we have so many programs through the board, and other Toronto Regional Board have programs. Learn from it. And Realty Coffee Talk is all about educating you, making you aware of the requirement, how to buy and sell your property. That's why Awaz Entertainment has introduced this program, so you learn from it. You can watch all our episodes since March 5th, 2020. So we continue to have a conversation. Also, this program, they have agreed to provide 6-month deferred mortgage payment. That means if you are not able to pay your mortgage, they will delay it for 6 months. It is likely they need to be clarifying it. Is it during the COVID period, which already passed, or is it a new program? What do you think, Ken?
So I don't think the banks will have a problem with this because they're still, the interest won't stop getting charged. So, they'll just miss some of the payments, but then they'll have an extended, it will just get pushed to the end of the mortgage. So I don't think this is, I think this is, the banks will agree to
One
this.
thing, we have done the program already on this program. Please make sure when you are negotiating with the lender to defer your mortgage payment, make sure they have approved it. Once they approved it, it will not affect your credit. Make sure you make all the payments, the mortgage, your Visa card, car insurance, all those payments. Because especially if you are utilizing a program recommended by the government. Government is giving the provision to these lenders, the banks and everything to give this program to you. But you are the one who has to apply for it, to make sure they approve it before you start making the payment. Otherwise, you will be breaching the agreement, mortgage agreement. So don't do that. So make sure, because once they make you deferral, they will not report on the credit because it's not affect your credit. But if you miss one payment, it will affect your credit and they will trigger a default on your side. So be careful about it. Make sure that your lender has provided you a written confirmation that your mortgage is deferred for 3 months, 6 months, whatever period. I think they're suggesting 6 months. I know they started this program when the COVID hit us. if they want to continue with this, we still have to watch, and we have to talk to our member of parliament to clarify what promises they made in election, are they going to implement it? So make sure you have your phone number of your member of parliament, and you can visit and watch this program on Awaz Entertainment, and you can see the recording of it to make sure that you can remember what promise they made. So we try to address those promises to make sure that you can watch them and go back and ask them why they didn't do that, or if they did it, that you can appreciate that. So I'm just going to give you a little bit update on the market before we close our program. So there is, from August 1 to August 31st, average price in City of Toronto, which is 416 area, they sold 3,003 houses. Average price was $1,008 in 416, and 905 and other areas they sold 5,593. and 1,108,000. So 905 prices are going up. These are average prices. And the list prices, there were new listing of 4,207. In 2020, there were 7,416. That means we have cut down significantly listing in August in 2021.
Definitely, yes. And it's the one thing, there are a lot of condos, so it includes condo sales in the 416. So that's one of the reasons. But there was a lot more activity in the 905 because of, people moving out of the city because they can work from home now.
So we're going to just give you generic information. If you need the very specific information, I can share with you. Call me. My number is 905-785-9923, or my cell number 416-451-3489. I can give you statistic and report to you. Detached home for sale, in 416 is dropped 36.6% sale drop in August 1 to 31st, and 905 30.2% drop in sale. But the average price increase in 416 11.2% in August, and 25.6% 905 area out of Toronto. And Sammy, there was minus 32.3% in 416, and minus 27.9% in Sammy's. But the average price of Sammy increased 416 4.1% in August from 1 to 31st August. And 21.2% increase in 905 area, which include Mississauga, Milton, and Brampton, just to name a few. And then townhome, there was a sale reduction 11.8% in 416, and minus 20.8% in 905 area. But average price increased 416 8.3% in 416 area, and also 20.2% in 905 areas. And the condo, that was a big change in condo. That was a positive 13.2% increase in sale in condo in 416, 7.5% increase in 905 area, and price increased 7.1%. It was showing negative few months, now is 7.1% positive 416, and 14.5% increase in 905 area. So that gives you a little bit idea about a percentage of sales in the month of August from 1st to 31st. This is reported from Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. If you have any question regarding real estate, you can call me. My number is 416-451-3489. I'm a fellow of Real Estate Institute of Canada, broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage, and I can answer your question anytime. Before we end the program, I'm going to ask final say, Ken, you want to say anything to our viewers?
Well, just thanks for watching, and thank you again, Tahir, for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. You have a great mandate to educate the public on what exactly is happening in the real estate industry.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment, I thank you, viewers. If you are involved in real estate, buying and selling, mortgage broker, lawyer, renovator, builder, developer, and any painter, plumbers, you can advertise on Awaz Entertainment. They can give you a very special discount. You can ask Ms. Jabeen call the number on the screen, 647-484-0018 or 1-888-786-9809, and get for a special offering, and you tell them you are the viewer of Realty Coffee Talk and Awaz Entertainment. On behalf of Realty Coffee Talk and Awaz Entertainment, we thank all the health professionals, doctors, nurses, paramedics, our armed forces, our security forces, and our military, putting their life on line to protect us. May God bless you all. May God bless Canada. We'll see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Bye for now. Thank you.